Welcome to the Wisconsin Wrestler Podcast with your co-hosts Teague Fenwick and Steve Lurkwood.
And awesome, I had us muted. All right, Steve, I guess getting the technical difficulties out of the way in the summer. Anyways, folks, welcome to the Wisconsin Wrestler Podcast. I'm your host, Teague Fenwick, coming to you from Holman. Joining me as always is my co-host, Steve Lurkwin. Steve, you already said it, but great to be here.
I was muted before, right? Nobody heard it. So.
We were both muted.
Oh, good. Well, you usually mute me just for fun because I get that. That happens all the time. Hey, I'm pumped to be here. It's always a good night to talk some wrestling, Teague.
Steve, it's gonna be a fun week for us. Got 3 podcasts in the upcoming week here. We'll talk more about that schedule next week. But Steve, a lot of wrestling happened last week that we got to get into. It was Fargo last week, which a lot of folks would say is the best wrestling event in the nation, at least high school wise. Best wrestling event in general, even. It's just fun. A lot of action going on. And we're going to be recapping the girls' action from last week. And Steve, we're bringing on, this might be a record for hitting recurring guest status in the matter of just 2 weeks. But we are bringing back Mr. Carl DeLuca, who I brought up his wrestling accolades before. But like I said, he's a coach, he refs, he's a man of many hats, a jack of all trades, if you will. Carl, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, T. Good to be here.
And saw a little cameo. Do you have a cat?
I do, yeah. I guess there. Yeah, that's the cat.
Nice.
Just doing a little sightseeing. You'll love to see it. Carl, I guess the big thing with Fargo, well, actually, before we talk about Fargo, Steve, we have some trivia, and Carl, I'm sorry for bringing this up, but I did.
I can guess what you're going to say, but I'll let you go.
I did some creeping on track wrestling, and Steve, can you guess who Carl wrestled in the finals his senior year? It would have been 2008.
Finals you're talking at state. Finals at state. Oh,
yep.
Man.
It would have been the first of 4 titles for this wrestler.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's got to be. Oh my gosh, Teague. Why do you do this? Put me on the spot. Was this 106 pounds?
112.
Oh, it was 112.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you wrestled for Rapids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Come on, Teague. Why would you do this to me? I'm thinking of all the, let's see. Germantown guy, right?
Yes, sir. Jesse Thilke.
There you go. Good. I get this. I'm better with the schools than I am the kids. So Jesse Thilke. Wow. Nice.
So a little bit of Carl trivia for you, much to Carl's chagrin, maybe. But
hold on, T. You cut him off. I asked him how he did.
It wasn't great.
Well, hey, you were in the finals, right?
It's true. Finals were fun. Yeah, it was good to get there.
All right, now that we got the trivia out of the way here, Carl, I guess the first thing with Fargo that I got to ask, so have you been to Fargo in years past?
I was there last year officiating. Before that, I was coaching the cadets, I think 2009, and then wrestled all 4 years in high school. But before last year, I hadn't been there in 12, 13 years.
Oh, wow. So you were there last year, and I guess you were in a different role then as a coach this year. What'd you think of the schedule this year? I guess being the girls coach, you did get all your stuff out of the way early. Did you stick around or?
No, I went back with the girls team once we were done. No, it was a big improvement. It was, one, easier for coaches and teams. And like Nasa Bianchi said yesterday that it's the shortest time she's ever been at Fargo, and she was perfectly okay with that. Because it went from she was there for 2 days and coaching the girls and able to leave rather than being there for 5 or 6. And plus, it was great too having 2 days of just for the girls. They set another record of 1,500 participants, and it was all them for the first time rather than just kind of being mixed in. And the all girls final too was great, just a totally different vibe having only them for 2 days.
That's awesome. I really like in general. I'm sure we'll talk about it with Scott too. But the 2 finals setup, I was all about that.
Yeah, me too. Especially how they put it at the end in the end zone, and they had the big TV screens behind it. It just felt like this more intimate, close space rather than just one mat in the center of the dome. It was a really, really good setup with the 2 finals right next to each other.
Well, good stuff, man. Well, the girls had a pretty good year this year at Fargo from Wisconsin. Juniors took 8th as a team. 16U was 10th as a team. Standings-wise, where does that rank up against teams from the past?
Well, last year the juniors were 22nd place with just 1 All-American. I can't speak to, I'm not sure beyond that, but yeah, just a year-to-year difference was huge. Like the back of the t-shirts have all the All-Americans, and last year I looked at this year's junior shirts. I was like, really, only 1? I was kind of surprised by that, but yeah, just a big difference from 28th to 8th. Cadets last year were 12th place, jumped up to 10th, so another improvement there. But two more All-Americans though. Or I guess I gotta say, I'm still used to saying cadets. 16U technically, right?
Mm-hmm.
16U had 2 more All-Americans, and as a team went up 2 places too.
Wow. I guess the thing that impressed me most was probably the 3 finalists, but I think we're gonna kind of break this down by age group here. We'll start with the older girls here. We'll talk about the juniors first, if you want to get into those results. And of course, there's 5 girls that made the podium on the junior team. I already said that they got 8th. But aside from, we'll talk about the girls that made the podium. But I guess for girls that didn't make All-American status, were there any performances that stood out to you?
Well, I think some of the girls who didn't place, it just shows how tough Fargo is. I'm sure it's the same with the boys too. Like Caitlin Kelly's a good example. She lost in the blood round. She was up 6-0 in her match, got tossed and pinned in the blood round. That's a tough way to go out, not All-American. Savannah Danielson, Natalie Cladiver, really tough girls that you just expect. Or I guess I'm thinking of some 16U, but yeah, it just speaks to how tough Fargo is. That some of these girls that are best of the best in our state did awesome at the junior duels and then don't even place at Fargo.
Right.
Well, looking at the podium winners, I guess we'll start off right away with the finalist, Alex Hoffrichter. Man, what a tournament she had.
Yeah, and she's like, regardless of men or women, I think she was one of the best throwers in the entire tournament. I think it was her semis match. I told her that, like, watching her feet were on this side, and all of a sudden they were 180 degrees in the other direction, and the girl was on her back. Like, she can toss absolutely anybody, and just watching her somehow find a throw no matter what. She literally threw every single person up until the finals, and just ran into an absolute powerhouse, undefeated 3-timer from Iowa. So she's probably going to be an undefeated 4-timer, but yeah, Alex just can absolutely toss anybody and really fun to watch. And now she's going to go work with Dennis Hall in college and probably get even better at throwing.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good resource to have in your corner.
Yeah.
I guess another result to Kylie Rule placing 3rd at 1 at 27. It's crazy. And Alex is kind of in that same tier where to think of anyone beating Kylie, like you have to be a really good wrestler. Like, it's just hard to wrap my head around. But yeah, how did Kylie's weekend go?
Yeah, well, first of all, that same thought, like, how did somebody beat Kylie? But they did, yeah. She dominated her way to the semis, lost in the semis, and then dominated her 2 matches after that. I didn't look. I'm gonna assume the girl who beat her in the semis won the bracket, but yeah, Kylie's I can't say she's flashy like Alex and tosses people. She's just solid and consistent and never comes out of position. Like watching her and the next girl, like her and Hannah Eartham and Faith Bartos, like those three drill together in camp was just, it's like, wow, their technique is flawless. Like, yeah, who have they been working with? I know Kylie wrestles with Nazar a lot. Like, yeah, just Kylie's technique is almost flawless.
That group wrestling, that's one of those things where I'd watch as a coach and I'd be like, I don't even know what I would say to these girls.
Yeah, sometimes you're just like, just do what you do. Like they're good enough. They know what they're doing. Just kind of cheer them on from the corner more than anything else.
Well, speaking of Hannah, it was awesome to see her back in action, and she just came out with the force. I know she was kind of coming back from injury, but regardless, to place third at 132, that's just a great performance by her. And I forgot how fun of a wrestler she was to watch.
Yeah, she's another one that can throw anybody. I think partly speaks to her coach Lucas Stelt, who's a big Greco guy, big throw guy, and that makes sense. Hannah's she had the only 5-point throw I saw in girls freestyle, and it looked like it hurt too. Like the girl landed right on her head. It was a fantastic throw. Yeah, Hannah's another one. Like I didn't see her semifinals match, but I saw the result and I was like, wow, someone beat Hannah. Must be really, really good. Like selfishly in camp, we didn't do a lot of live goes because we're trying to get ready for Fargo, trying to get everyone recovered. But selfishly, I'm like, I want to put like Hannah and Faith and Kylie and put them in a grind match and just see what happens. But
Yeah.
that would have been a bad idea right before Fargo.
You brought up Luke Stelt. I want to guess this wrestler spent a little bit of time with Luke as well. It's Rachel Shower out of Fenimore, placing 5th at 164 pounds.
Yeah. Rachel's another one that I guess a lot of our juniors are good at throwers. Rachel's another thrower. And yeah, she's very solid. Her and Alex they kind of joked around about it a little bit. They wrestled in the state semifinals that Rachel got her at state. And then Alex placed a little bit of header in Fargo. But this is the second time Rachel was the Fargo All-American. Yeah, she's steady. And again, she can toss anybody.
And then this one, so before we talk about Faith a little bit, Faith Bartosik placed 8th at 138. So I know high school-wise, Faith wrestles in Pennsylvania. How does it work where she can come back to Wisconsin? Because obviously Laura lives in Wisconsin. Does she have that choice then because her parents live in the state, or how does that work? And then can she choose to wrestle in Pennsylvania as well?
As far as, well, don't quote me on this, but as far as I know, I believe it's your home address. And Faith is back here. She's not at Wyoming Seminary anymore. So like Jake Fitzpatrick from Aquinas, he lives in Minnesota, so he wrestles for Minnesota at Fargo. So as far as I believe it's your home address.
Okay. That's not that. Well, that must be nice. I mean, for her to come back once a year, I'm sure she's familiar with a lot of these girls. I'm sure it just makes that team dynamic that much better.
I'm sure she does. Yeah, and she was just like Hannah. She was just coming off an injury. But she was very recently cleared. Like her I think her biggest reason she got 8th was just it's hard to be in wrestling shape so quickly. Like you guys know as wrestlers
Right.
that you can sprint and do whatever, but until you can actually go live goes consistently, you're not going to get in wrestling shape.
Get
Like
those lungs blasted. Yeah.
A tough match. It was pretty early. It was second round or quarters that she was down 3-1 late, and she got a push out and a step out and a fleet call and won 3-3 really early on in the tournament. And that was just being tougher than the girl. It just kept going. But yeah, Faith is. I know she was disappointed. She was in the finals last year, going down to 8th, but she again just came back from injury and fought tough. And yeah, she did pretty well.
Well, good stuff. Yeah, the juniors just did awesome. And I mean, 5 All-Americans last year as opposed to the one from the previous year. I guess how the girls feel about their performance. How'd you feel about the junior girls' performance?
Overall, very good. I think some of them would probably be hard on themselves. Like I know Kylie, Hannah, and Faith probably had goals to win it, but sometimes it doesn't work out. I know. I think Alex plays kind of. I don't actually. Alex, I knew Alex was good. I didn't know she was that good. Like clearly the second best girl in the bracket. Could she have won it? Maybe, but yeah, I think we did either at expectations or a little bit above it as a team, especially going from 22nd place, jumping all the way up to 8th is a giant improvement from year to year. And
yeah,
we hope it keeps
huge.
going. It should keep going with the group we have around the state of all the coaches we have, Nasa and Jake and all these other people we have, like Iowa and California, like they're probably Pennsylvania too. I think they're 6-7 years ahead of us in girls wrestling, and we'll just keep climbing until we catch up to them.
Well, you guys have a really good coaching group. The group of girls just seems to be getting stronger, and just from the high school season, a lot of that is from that freshman class, and I think we're going to see that young core just keep getting better and better too. And we got to see the freshman class show off a little bit at Fargo, which was awesome to see. I know there's some, I think, there's one incoming freshman on there as well. But, man, for 16U, what a performance. 6 All-Americans at 10th place as a team, improved on that 12th place finish last year. Just kind of sum up the 16U performance and how those girls were feeling, because I'm sure for a lot of them it was only their first or second Fargo.
Yeah, there was definitely some nerves there for some of them, which is perfectly understandable. I mean, my first match ever at Fargo was on the stage. I was already scared, and then I got Drew on the stage and against the guy who was second place the year before, so I was terrified.
Wow.
So I totally understand any of the nerves that these girls had out there, and some of them were nervous, some did great with it, some it got to them a little bit, but that's is what it is. That's a spot they can get better at.
Right.
Yeah, good learning experience. We'll talk about the 2 finalists first here. We got Carly Keschker, who was the runner-up at 1 at 27, and Brooke Huffman, who I don't know what school she's going to wrestle for, but man, am I excited to see her wrestle in season. She was the runner-up at 180 pounds. If you want to take us through just how they did, well, obviously they did really well, but just how they felt in general, and then talk about their finals matches a little bit.
Sure. Well, first of all, Carly. I mean, Carly's state champ and a Midlands champion as a high school freshman.
Right.
So she's obviously a very good wrestler, and I'd probably say the favorite to win it. And her finals match, she was up 3-0 and then gave up a shot clock point and a takedown, but was unaware she was on the clock, and she thought she was winning 3-2 and didn't find out she lost until they put the other girl's hand up.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that's a tough way to lose. Probably a learning experience too. Like, you just always make sure to glance at the clock when you're going out of bounds. And Nasa and Brian Kuntz in the corner were screaming at her, but on the stage up there, you're not going to hear anything.
Wow.
Yeah, tough way to lose a finals match. That's her second runner up at Fargo. But she's got at least 2 more out there. I would imagine she's going to get 2 Fargo titles in the next 2 years.
I was going to say, I'd be willing to wager she'll end up on top of the podium one of these years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Brooke she's got to be one of the best athletes in the entire tournament, especially at 180 pounds. Like, her athleticism compared to the girl she wrestles is not even close. And I believe it was 6-2, I want to say, in the finals. It was close, and then she almost scored at the end to tie it up, but gave up a takedown. But yeah, right now she's at Wittenberg. I'm not sure about high school, but I'd put her as a favorite next year at state at 185. Like, I don't think anyone, unless maybe Olivia Holfrichter or someone else gets bigger, I don't think, or maybe if that'd be cool if Rachel goes up from 65 up to, that'd be a good one. But if not, I think Brooke is the favorite next year at the state tournament.
Do you know what school she's wrestling for?
Currently, she's at Wittenberg.
Oh, Wittenberg Burn. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Dylan Lamb, a longtime listener, commenting that Little Rock and Wartburg are already looking into several girls from Wisconsin for college purposes. And yeah, Fargo, just a recruiting hotspot. And I'm sure there's definitely a lot of interest in the Wisconsin talent for sure.
Mhm. I'm sure, and especially with some of the Bianchis going to Little Rock, they're going to have the connection here too.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. For the other place winners here at 16U, Taylor Whiting is 6th at 106 pounds. Is she one? I forgot how far she made it. I'm trying to think. One of these girls in the group, they kind of had they had a long road on the consolation side to make it here. I forgot if Taylor was the one, but
Taylor had, I think the one you're thinking of for sure is Angie. If we'll skip ahead a little bit. Angie lost first round, which was
Wow.
crazy for someone as good as Angie Bianchi. She lost because I didn't see her match. I saw it come up to my phone. She lost 5-5. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. And then I think it was 7 or 8 matches after that just to place, because those brackets are huge out there. 80 to like, there was one stat that it was 16U, I think 126. There was 82 girls, and 10 years ago there was 80 total girls in the entire tournament. Now we have more girls in one bracket than there used to be in the whole thing. So for Angie Bianchi and compressed it to 2 days too, you're going the backside. It's not like you don't get 45 minutes like you do at your high school events or the folk style events. They come off the mat and they're called 15, 30 minutes later. And especially the second morning, they cranked out the blood round, all the placement rounds, all cranked it out in that morning. Yeah, for someone to lose first round and win 7 matches in 2 days to come back to place is very impressive.
Man.
Hey, Carl, before we go, Carl, walk me through that too. Like, I'm thinking of a high school kid. Typically, I mean, it's 45 minutes, but right, let's be real. You get an hour and a half, 2 hours in between matches and things like that. Maybe an hour, 15 minutes. How do you attack the psychology with that, right? I mean, how do you get a girl ready? Maybe she just lost, or even won. What's the turnaround there and the short memory of getting them ready for the next match?
Right. So first thing, we made sure to tell them before we got there, like we gave them all a heads up. We didn't want anyone to be surprised that they lost and all of a sudden their name's back on the screen. So first, going into the tournament, they knew as soon as they're on the backside to be looking back up at the clock. So just avoiding that surprise was a big part of it too. And then how I always do it is we kind of break it into 2 pieces. I'd say, like, take your 5-10 minutes. I can't say however long you need, but take your 5-10 minutes and just recover. Don't worry about your next match. Get a little bit of food, get some water, rehydrate, take a little break, take some deep breaths, and then kind of reset and move on from there. Because sometimes if you try to do it all at once, like take a drink plus warm up plus, I don't know, watch film or something, it doesn't quite work. So yeah, I encourage them to break it into 2 parts. Recover, take your break, and then get ready. Even if the break is 3 minutes long, is what it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just any little bit of time to decompress helps in that time frame. Well, I know we went ahead of Taylor here. You want to talk about Taylor a little bit?
Yeah, Taylor is another one. Like, I'd probably compare it to like Kylie Rule. Just very solid, very rarely comes out of a position, constantly good stance, perfect form on shots. Like, yeah, she's one that's just very hard to out technique. And she, like Angie, I don't think she had as long on the backside, but had an earlier loss and came back and ended up 6th.
And then rounding out the place winners, Ava Peters was 8th at 100 pounds. Lily Banks was 8th at 132. And a lot of Northeastern talent in this 16U group, that's for sure. If you want to talk about those two.
Yeah, there was a lot of talent over there. I want to say some of them will be in the same. I'm pretty sure some of them are in the same sectional next year too. So hopefully they can split apart a little bit and all get the state tournament. But yeah, Ava and Lily are both just really they're kind of the same builds, tall and lanky, and just really tough. Like Lily, actually, I'm going to call her Liliana because she doesn't like that. Liliana is just like she. I can't say anything jumps out awesome about her technique, but she just goes and goes and never stops and never quits. Like Nasa was talking about how a difference he or she has made in just mindset alone. Like she used to get in a tough match and her mind would kind of crumble and kind of lose it a little bit. And now this year is she's just, it doesn't phase her. Yeah, and Ava's another tough wrestler too. For her to get to 100 pounds in the first place was impressive. And then just from there, again, she fought and scrapped hard and worked her back up to 8th.
Good stuff. How would you, as a coach, sum up the 16U performance?
Good. Yeah. First I'll say I wish one of our finalists, we got to get a champ. We keep getting second. We had a couple second places last year. Eventually we'll break through and we'll get more than one champ. But yeah, again, an improvement over last year with more All-Americans, higher place. And like I talked about with the juniors, like we had some really good girls that didn't place, like Riley Hanaran, Maddie Peach. Maddie Peach went undefeated at junior duels and didn't place at Fargo. Again, speaks to how tough the brackets are. Delia Collins was an All-American last year also. And like we have tough girls getting our points too. That gets us to 10th place who didn't All-American. Savannah Danielson, she was a junior, but she was out pretty quickly. But again, I was like, wow, how did she get out so quickly? But it's that tough of a tournament.
Oh, yeah. When you see some of those early outs, it just really puts into perspective how deep it is. But I think it's awesome. It kind of shows, too, you brought up the numbers earlier, how much women's wrestling is growing just across the nation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fantastic to see it grow. 1,500 something wrestlers this year just for the girls alone. And I don't know the boys' numbers, but I guess we set overall record numbers again. But yeah, the girls' numbers are exponentially growing every year.
I guess Wisconsin-wise, you talked about getting a champion here in the future, but what's the goal for women's wrestling going forward?
Well, I think we just had a meeting yesterday with some of the coaches around the state, and Mel Dow and Brooke Thurber and Maddie and who else was on it? Nasa. Like basically we got a group together that we're going to work on first with just trying to grow numbers and trying to grow it even more than it has. Like we have exponential growth already, but we don't want to just sit and pretend like, oh, it's just going to keep growing no matter what. It probably will, but there's other things we can do to keep it growing and keep it on that awesome pace. And I mean, our as a state too, we want to keep getting better. Like our boys were second in juniors at duels. Every single dual team was, I think, top 9. The boys were second in that, and I think 4th in 16U, and girls were 9th and 9th. Like we just want to keep growing on that, and I think we are definitely probably top 5 wrestling state in the country, and we want to keep getting up there and get some titles with it.
Mm-hmm. Carl, I'm hijacking this question from Steve a little bit here.
Yeah.
But as we're getting close to the end of the show, favorite food spot in Fargo?
Favorite food spot in Fargo? Oh, geez. That is the only place I went to this year was Buffalo Wild Wings. So maybe I'm a terrible person to answer that question. No, wait.
You went there numerous times? Is that what?
No, now that I think about it, there was a place connected to our hotel that was really good. It was Brooke and Dom. They each ordered nachos. It turned out it was an entire bag of Doritos that was turned into nachos, and Dom ate the entire thing. Which was impressive. Brooke had no chance at eating it all, but Dom somehow did it. I guess it was connected to whatever hotel we're at. I wish I could give a shout out and remember the name, but I'd say that place, not Buffalo Wild Wings. That place was pretty good, and it was funny when two people ordered nachos thinking it was a little thing, and it was a whole bag of Doritos.
If I'm ever out there, that's the first place I'm going. I'm a big nachos fan.
I'll find the name of the hotel for you and let you know. I could look it up for you.
Well, Carl, we appreciate you coming on again, man. And how long does it take to like decompress from Fargo? I know it's a little shorter this year with it being more compact, but I know, I think you're in River Falls like a couple days before or whatnot, and it ends up being close to a week commitment. And that's just Fargo, like not even including camps and stuff. But how long does it take to recover from a week at Fargo?
It took me a few days. Well, plus we got to River Falls Sunday at, I don't know, 2 a.m. after the finals. And then I drove 3 hours or 2-ish hours back to Holman, and then got back about 6 and then went to work at 8. So,
wow.
So it took me a few days just to catch up on sleep. And it's not that I mean, my work's not terribly challenging or anything. I just didn't want to, I'm out of time off. So my job keeps getting mad at me for leaving for all these wrestling things. So I figured if I can work that day, I could. And then, it just took me a couple of days to catch up on a normal sleep schedule after sleeping some of the bus ride and then being up most of the night though. More, I can't say more of it is just like getting back to my normal when I think I'd rather be out at a wrestling tournament, not just because you're coaching and watching wrestling, but it's really fun when you know all these coaches and you get to know all these wrestlers, and just hanging out with them for 4 or 5 days is a blast. I guess the first couple of days back is kind of lonely and boring compared to being out at Fargo and being with all these fantastic wrestlers and coaches.
Yeah, I would say whenever we talk to Scott or when we talked to Gabby last year, it seems like the one thing everyone really gets out of it is just like, hey, we're not wrestling against each other, we're wrestling as one team, and just the bonding and community experience that comes with it is one of the more memorable parts of the experience.
Oh yeah, that is always a lot of fun, and it'll be fun this next year when I run into all these girls that I now know from the duels in Fargo and run into at random tournaments and talk to them there, and they'll probably all make fun of me for my height, like they did all Fargo trip, but not all of them. Some of them are nice, but that's okay. It's great to expand and get to know wrestlers from around the state too, and coaches too. Like it's a blast to hang out with all these people.
Well, in regards to being made fun of for your height, I know you and Steve just met like 40 minutes ago, but you two have something you can bond over now.
Well, that's good to know.
Although it's like an inverse scenario for Steve, who folks are trying to get Steve the Stilts Lurkwin going. Gonna make that a thing.
Yeah. and Teague, hey, check out Teague's sweater on Instagram. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. Check out
Touche. Hey, yeah,
Carl,
I shouldn't have.
Carl, I know we're wrapping up, but I was gonna pipe in early, but you guys were kicking butt and doing well. And sorry, everybody, I'm leaning in. If you're watching this close, nobody wants to see this mug too close, but my microphone's not working, so I got to lean in so you guys can hear me. But Carl, I'm just gonna tell you, I bet you the girls and the kids love you because your positivity, right? You're upbeat. It's like I don't think everything you said right away it's all positive. This and this, it's like I can tell that your personality is great for coaching, and that's why you're having awesome success. So keep doing what you're doing, bud.
Well, thank you, Steve. And yeah, I hope they like me. I think they do. One of them did say they make fun of me only if they like me, so I think that's a good sign.
Oh, that's good. That's good. My only gripe is I just figured this out halfway through the podcast that you guys both coach at Coleman, and I have coaching. I always say Coleman. Why do I do that? Coleman. Yeah, there you go. And you guys have, I have shirts from all over the state, and I have no Holman wrestling T-shirt yet. So I'm a little bit, I got a little bit of gripe on that one.
Well, since I met you 40 minutes ago and Teague is your co-host, I think we know where to put the blame on that one.
We do. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Steve, I'll score something for you. Holman Wrestling just came out with Crocs. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so I can get you a pair of those
Or
if
some
you
Holman.
want.
I'll find
I'll take anything you got.
I'll find a women's
You're holding back on my Prairie du Chien PDC shirt, so I'm waiting for that one as well.
I'm saving it all up. It's going to be a bulk shipment.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, that's what I got for this. It's always so weird when we're like under the 45-minute mark, we end a show. I'm like, wait, are we like supposed to talk for an hour more or what? But yeah, no, that's what we got. Carl, we appreciate you coming on and sharing the experience and, just taking more time. Well, obviously, you love wrestling, so I'm sure if anything, this is just more time for you to talk about. We enjoy having you on. And who knows, maybe we'll have you on in a few weeks here just to keep the pattern rolling.
Just for fun, just make up something for a reason to come on. Sure.
I'm sure we could find something to talk about.
Probably.
Steve-O, you got anything else?
No, I'm good, bud.
All right, folks. Well, that was Carl DeLuca with the Girls of Fargo recap. Next week, we don't have a date set yet, but we're going to have Scott Cleaver on to talk about Guys Fargo. And then we're going to have the Haitian sensation, Austin Blanchard, on next Wednesday at 7. So a double podcast next week in the summer, which is always fun. Yeah, that's what we got for tonight. And until next time, folks, we will catch you on the flip side.